Hello and welcome to another Hellenic Pagans video. My name is Evan Rigakis and I am your administrator. So the topic of this video is going to be KANEA, the Lesser Rite of Summer. It's the Greek equivalent, let's say, to the Celtic Lamas, I believe it's pronounced. Anyways, let's get into it. All right. Okay, in the mysteries, the Lesser Rite of Summer is celebrated on August 1st, and we call this festival the KANEA. It is the combination of two festivals, actually. It's an ancient Athenian and a Kabirian festival celebrated at this time of the year in ancient times and in ancient Greek times. It is also called the Golden Festival, in that it is the great harvest festival, grain or wheat being golden festival. And at least in Greek terminology, or Greek tradition rather, this festival, the Harvest Festival, is dedicated to actually different gods depending on which tradition you're referring to, because as you should know, the Greeks had many traditions and an exuberant amount of festivals, much of which haven't survived, but the most famous and the most popular, because it's the most, it's one of the festivals that have survived, is called Cronia. So the festival, according to this, is dedicated to Kronos, who, besides being the father of Zeus, is actually the god of the harvest. The sickle really is a reaping hook, and it's not death or time, but harvesting, you know. Okay, so the harvest festival for the Athenians was called Cronia. Cronia was not celebrated by all the Greek nations, of course, which is why we call it the Athenian festival. But the more ancient harvest festival was actually called the KANEA. KANEA was a very, very ancient festival, and it was celebrated only by women, which actually shows a little bit of the age of the actual festival. And whereas the Athenian festival, Cronia, is dedicated to the god of the harvest, Kronos, and the first farmers, the Titans, the Kabirian festival, KANEA, is dedicated to the Great Mother, Gaia. Yeah is how it's properly pronounced, but in English they say Gaia. So the Great Mother, yeah, and the gatherers of the Kabirian tribes. So the first farmers really, the first farmers were in the Neolithic era. That's what made the Neolithic era, is when they first started farming. And in the Greek area, the earliest farmers were dated to around 8,000 BC. So the KANEA, which are before the Titans sorry, before the Titans, mean that it is pre-Neolithic, Paleolithic, perhaps, probably, but Mesolithic, absolutely. And the Mesolithics and the Paleolithics, of course, were hunter-gatherers. So that's why they say it was dedicated to the Great Mother, or Rhea, and the gatherers of the Kiberian tribes, and which would make it a festival that was only celebrated by women, because women were thought of as being the gatherers, and the hunters were the men. So the festival was only celebrated by the women, the first of the harvest. I found that very, very cool, and I said, you know what? Let's combine these two together. You know, Titans and Kiberians, and let's have a party. And it turned out to be a really nice party, because where am I here? I'm right here. I'm sorry. The KANEA celebrated the bounty of nature, and so represented actually the bounty is like the mother is pregnant and is giving birth, and that's her bounty. That's her, you know, what she produces. So the first of the harvest would actually correspond to the first birth pangs of giving birth, which the following festival of the equinox would symbolize birth. So this is the first birth pangs of the Great Mother. The KANEA, like I said, is a combination of these two traditions. In the mystery tradition, the KANEA is the day of equality and goodwill, and has been called the pagan day of Thanksgiving. I wasn't really crazy about that sort of title, but it does fit, and whatever, I'm not arguing. So, excuse me, the Day of Equality is something that comes from really the Cronia festival, where in Athens on this day everybody was treated equal. Slaves were invited to dinner, and you know, it was a really, you know what, you should really research it. Yeah. Good idea. So we celebrate this day with the traditional rite of charisma. In English, it would be the rite of treating. Okay. Charisma is practiced in three ways. First, we treat ourselves to something special. Could be simple, could be extravagant, could be anything. But we're treating ourselves. Second, we treat our family and our friends to a lavish banquet and celebration with the cornucopia, the horn of plenty, and that's put at in the centerpiece of the banquet table. That comes from the KANEA, not the cronia. And what else do we do? Oh, right. And at the end of the banquet, at the end of the meal, we do the Burning Man. The Burning Man is basically a stick figure made of any kind of roots, but it has to be fairly big. And you tie it up really nice and make a stick figure. And there's a whole ritual to it. And at the end of it's in the centerpiece with a cornucopia, and at the end of the meal, it's lit on fire with a ritual done, but it's lit, basically it's lit on fire, and it's there to symbolize the Kabiri, which are fire deities, primordial deities, and it's there to because she is impregnated with our Ka, because at New Year's we bury our Ka egg, which basically is us, and or it's a Kabiri, a Ka egg, and a Kabiri is a fire god. So we light it on fire, and it symbolizes the fully formed fetus that is about to be born the next festival. But it's a whole like ritual, and it's I like it. You know, not everybody likes it, but I do. Okay, so, and the third way of treating, most importantly really, for at least one day out of the whole year, we treat all people with equality and goodwill. On this day, at least on this day, we try to treat people and everybody around us the way we would like to be treated, regardless whether or not they treat us in the same way. But this is basically more for ourselves than for others. You know what I mean? Not in a selfish way either, but we're training ourselves to understand that we're not superior to our neighbor, and we're not inferior. You know, we all are just, you know, equal. Well, let's just really reinforce that at least one day out of the year and be nice to people. Let them be assholes. You know, you don't have to be. Although it's very, very hard. But anyways, okay, so this is how we celebrate the lesser rite of summer in the Neo-Hellenic mystery tradition. You could research the cronia. You may find the Kalamea buried in something. These things are very hard to find. They're not just, you know, ready available type of deal. If you don't, if you want to celebrate this day in a Greek way, you're welcome to celebrate it this way. But this is only one way of the Greek way, because the Greeks had many ways. So if you don't want to do this, then at least use this as your foundation or your guiding pointer to do your own research and find the festival. But that's all I got for you now. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. This COVID virus is still going on, so I'm stamp marking this video. So I wish you all to be very healthy and keep safe.